Hey everyone, this video is intended to go over a little bit of our children's ministry sound setup, maybe for our children's ministry coordinators or a teacher, volunteers who happen to be helping with children's ministry, especially if they notice that maybe the children's ministry sound is bleeding into other areas throughout the facility. It's a quick tutorial just on kind of our setup and some quick fixes for problems or common problems that hopefully this will be a resource to help you troubleshoot those things. So let me walk you through how we run our setup. The first thing I would like to do is kind of just show you how we turn everything on. I've already got the computer active. That should be as simple as just kind of hitting the enter button on the computer to turn things on. But really the way we get things started is on this black rack down here. You want to press this blue power button. You'll see it's blinking. And as it does, it's going to kind of bring everything on this rack to life, as well as you'll see over here our video switcher, our side monitors booting up, and even our soundboard is all turning on. So let's give that a minute to boot on up, and then we will continue with our video. All right, so the soundboard is still booting up over here. We're going to give that a minute longer. Over here, you'll notice that our video switcher is up and running, as well as our monitor here. Now, at first glance, you will notice that our HDMI 1 pit has a signal registered, but HDMI 2 and 3 are currently showing nothing. We don't run anything to HDMIs 4, nor stills 1, 2, 3, or 4. All we use back here is HDMIs 1, 2, and 3. Each of those is a specific device input. Right now, the only one that is running is this computer. So this HDMI 1 extension here is actually an extension of this computer right here. And just to prove that to you, I could take this window that I have open right now, drag it to my left, and wouldn't you know it, it shows up there. It's processing HDMI 1's input on this video switcher as a secondary screen to this computer. So the easy way to think of it, HDMI 1 is really a direct send from this computer to HDMI 1. HDMI 2 is the input of the camera that hangs on the interior of the soffit over here. Our Spanish ministry uses that for live streaming as well as our young adults. If we want to bring that camera to life, it is powered by this extension cord, which ideally we would clean this up a little bit, but all right, now you'll notice HDMI 2. Under that we can see the camera here in the fellowship hall pointed at the fellowship hall stage. Just to kind of reaffirm what I was saying earlier, that camera is powered on and off via this cable, or this extension cable. So if we unplug that, you can go back, we'll see, oh, HDMI 2 is gone. If we come back over and we plug it back in, we'll notice, wait for it. There's HDMI 2. So HDMI 1, we've got our computer here. HDMI 2, that's our camera over there in the soffit. And then HDMI 3 is actually our feed from the sanctuary. That is potentially the most important one, because what that does is sends a feed from here at the fellowship hall to our children's ministry, one of our children's ministry classrooms, and the nursery. Now you'll notice it's not on. I have already turned everything on in sanctuary, and yet we still aren't getting a signal here. It's a common problem if we boot things up out of sequence, which I did. So if you notice, there's no HDMI 3 input, and yet everything is turned on in the sanctuary. What you want to do is come around the back here, and you'll notice we have these black boxes here. This top box is the one that feeds the sanctuary. Just going to do a real quick pull this blue cable out, this Cat5 cable, throw it back in the HDMI extender. That kind of resets everything, and it overrides the order I turned things on in. And if we come back around, you'll notice, wonderful, we have our sanctuary feed on HDMI 3. So HDMI 1, this computer. HDMI 2, that's our fellowship hall camera. And then HDMI 3, that's our sanctuary feed. Now, what this is doing is sending a video signal to our children's ministry classrooms. So whatever is set up under PGM, that's program, that is what is on screen for the input that is sent to the children's ministry classrooms. If we want to send the fellowship hall camera to those children's ministry classrooms, we would hit input 2, and now program is on input 2. If we want to send a direct view of whatever is on our ProPresenter screen, because that's what would pop up here if ProPresenter were activated, then we would press 1, and that's where whatever's on this computer, that's what we would ultimately be sending to the screen. But generally speaking, on Sunday mornings, we're not trying to send the children's ministry worship because we have everybody together, so we would be trying to send the main service so that our children's ministry teachers can watch that. Now, the audio normally would come straight through the HDMI cable. So that's what's running from our sanctuary ultimately to here through this feed is audio via HDMI. But we also have an audio cable run into this video switcher from our soundboard, which is now booted up, and that is oftentimes the problem. So I would say if you're looking for the really quick fix, because let's say you're getting audio from this room, from this stage, in your children's ministry classrooms, and all you want is audio from here, then take this orange cable right here and plug it. That's gonna keep you from having to do any kind of technical mumbo gumbo on our soundboard. Instead, just a quick fix, unplug this cable, and you will instantly kill any sound that is going from this stage to your children's ministry classrooms. It'll eliminate all layering. Now, let's say you wanna run video back here in the fellowship hall. You truly do not need to do anything to this. I would say the default with this whole setup is keep both of these on 3, because that's going to make it really simple for the sanctuary feed being projected to the classrooms in the back. That's really what we want, unless for some reason you're trying to send a video feed from here, which once again, the Spanish ministry and the young adults do that. That's why we've got this. Children's ministry, we've never wanted to do that. If you wanted to, we could talk about that in a separate video or at a separate occasion. Generally speaking, we're trying to send HDMI 3, the sanctuary feed, over to the other classrooms and things like that. Let's say though you want back here to run a video in the event that Mr. Terry or whoever's doing worship is not here. Here's what you want to do. Open ProPresenter. Once again, don't worry about any of this, just ProPresenter. And you're going to grab this remote and turn the TV on. Let's give that a second to boot up. All right, so we've just booted it up. You'll see that what we have on the screen is actually our sanctuary feed. So what that means is that that TV over there is mirroring what I have here on my HDMI switcher. We only would have it do that in special occasions. I'm actually not even totally certain why it's doing that right now. Really, it would be if we were trying to do an overflow from the sanctuary back here in the fellowship hall. Generally speaking, what's going to happen is this should be preset to where it's not mirroring our video switcher. But either way, let me go ahead and show you what to do. Since we don't want that TV to mirror our video switcher, what we should not do is go, oh, let me pull up HDMI 1, which you'll see is a black screen right now because it's mirroring ProPresenter. If I were on ProPresenter to pull up a quick frame, you'll see that that is now mirroring because ProPresenter is controlling that output. What we should not do is hit 1 and then go, oh, okay, good. Now we can play a video, right? Throw something up from VBS or something like that. Because now what's happening is, yes, our video is coming through up there, but it's also what we are now sending here to our children's ministry classrooms, which if that's what we wanted to do, then we just figured out how to do that. But normally we're trying to send 3, right? Just like I said. And that's where we're running into a problem is now we've got audio running for HDMI 1. We've got this up here. What do we really want to do? This handy dandy red remote is your friend, okay? On input 2 for the red remote, that is where this TV will mirror this. Instead, HDMI, or I'm sorry, not HDMI, input 1 on the red remote, if you hit that, that makes the TV run completely independent of what is going on here. So if we look back to our monitor, now HDMI 3 is still being sent to the classrooms. Sure, HDMI 1 is running over here in the background. We'll talk about how we can make sure that that's muted in just a second. But HDMI 3 is going to the classrooms, and yet in here, ProPresenter is sending a video, and it's sending it straight to our TV there, which is what we would want. You would control this audio on the soundboard via this switch. Probably hear it. So just a quick recap. Input 1 on the red remote allows this TV to run independent of everything else, which is normally what we want when we're trying to show a video back here. We would make sure that this is still on HDMI 3, and we would want this on input 1 on the red remote so that it's running independent on the TV. Now, the natural problem then occurs, okay, I have my audio from here that's now bleeding over into our external feeds, HDMI 3, because, oh, it's here, that's where I'm getting that audio. How do I make sure that the audio is not coming through? Well, I showed you the quick and easy trick. Just unplug this orange cable and you'll cut any audio going to the rest of the building. But if you want the more technical option, let's now take a look at the soundboard. So the first thing I would do anytime you approach the soundboard on a Sunday morning is come up here in the top left and look. It says Children's Ministry, which is a good sign, but I would go ahead, even if it says that, and go ahead and tap in that left-hand corner. It'll bring up our scenes, and you can hit recall. Recall goes to the default Children's Ministry setting that has everything pre-dialed in for what you would generally want on a Sunday morning for Children's Ministry. What it does is it makes sure that someone hasn't come through and made changes that would make this video irrelevant, right? So if someone comes in, changes a bunch of stuff around, turns a bunch of stuff on, makes, all kinds of noise, and then turns it off, when it turns on, it's going to have all those same settings. We don't want that. So this is the fail-safe for making sure that nobody or all of the instruction I'm giving in these videos is accurate, because it assumes you're in this starting place. So hit recall. That resets the soundboard to these factory settings that I have dialed in for our Children's Ministry. And what that leaves on is just this one microphone on the stage for anyone who's making announcements. And then it also allows for you to control the volume for your video right here. And it has anything going to the sanctuary muted. It keeps the sanctuary a non-factor for the soundboard. Now, if for some reason a different scene is called, or if you forgot that step, or you want just the really technical explanation, if you look over here on our auxiliary mixes, aux 7, this is our distributions mix, okay? This is how we would send audio from this soundboard to the video switcher to then send things to the classroom. So once again, if Spanish Ministry or Young Adults is meeting back here, they want this Bible study and worship to go to the classroom, their setting has all of this on. But for Children's Ministry, we don't want that. We're not trying to send this audio to there. That's why if you look over all of this, everything is off. And the reason it's off is because that's how it is preset on my Children's Ministry setting. If I go to the Spanish Ministry setting, where is that? Theirs appears to be missing. Interesting. Let's try maybe this one. Right. So theirs is what's currently labeled Fellowship Hall. If we look at that setting, everything is on. And that's the common problem, is oftentimes all of this is left on aux 7, and that will send any audio that's coming in this room over our distribution feed. So that's where go back to the Children's Ministry setting, hit recall, and boom, everything's muted there. And that's where back to our main menu, everything is operational. Volume-wise, you would control this. Now, another common problem is, for whatever reason, people will pull down this master to control the volume back here. You should never have to touch this master. It should stay in generally the same place. Control the volume according to the channel. So this ST2 channel, that's what controls the audio from the computer. That's what you would really need to be touching. I know that's kind of a lot of info, and I'm probably not giving you the most detailed step-by-step orientation. Once again, this isn't like a full-fledged training video for someone who would be responsible for running sound or something like that back here. This is really more like the quick fix tutorial for if something wrong is happening. And that's where, once again, we've hit a couple of quick, practical, easy fixes, a slightly addressed, more complicated version. And really, at the end of the day, hopefully myself or Angie, someone will be around if you have questions that would extend beyond what this video covers. But I think this is a good starting point for what we're trying to equip people in a pinch to be able to accomplish. So hopefully this helps. And from there, God bless you.